Faaite is a small, remote atoll in the Tuamotu archipelago of French Polynesia, located approximately 450 kilometers northeast of Tahiti. In the mid-1980s, Catholic charismatic renewal movements had reached many of the small island communities of French Polynesia, producing intense religious experiences among some populations. In 1987, members of a charismatic Catholic group on Faaite became convinced that several of their neighbors were possessed by demons. The belief was shared by multiple members of the community and reinforced through the group's religious practices, which emphasized direct spiritual experience and the discernment of supernatural forces. Over the course of several weeks, 6 people identified as demonically possessed were subjected to exorcism attempts. 3 were men and 3 were women. The exorcism methods used by the group were not ritual prayer or formal religious ceremony in the conventional sense. They were violent. The people identified as possessed were beaten. Several were subjected to methods intended to drive out demons through physical ordeal. By the time outside authorities became aware of what had occurred on Faaite, multiple individuals were dead. The deaths resulted from the exorcism attempts. People had been beaten to death, drowned, or burned. 6 members of the community were arrested and charged with the killings. French Polynesian authorities conducted the prosecution. The defendants were tried, and the proceedings examined both the specific actions taken and the conditions that had led a community to collectively endorse and carry out lethal violence against neighbors identified as possessed. The island's isolation was a significant factor in the investigation's findings. Faaite had limited contact with outside institutions, including the Catholic Church hierarchy, which does not sanction the exorcism methods used by the group and does not authorize lay members to perform exorcisms. The charismatic group on Faaite had developed its practices and its interpretation of possession without meaningful oversight or correction from religious authorities. The psychological and sociological conditions that allowed an isolated community to reach collective agreement that neighbors required violent exorcism, and to carry that exorcism through to fatal conclusions, were examined in the trial and in subsequent academic work. The episode has been analyzed in studies of group dynamics, religious extremism, and the role of social isolation in collective violence. The 6 defendants were convicted. The precise sentences are not uniformly recorded in English-language sources. The community on Faaite continued to exist.